The room was filled with whispers. Not loud, not obvious, but sharp enough to cut. I think we all know why she married him. I heard it. Of course I did. It was not meant to be hidden. It was meant to be just quiet enough to sound polite. That is how judgment works. It does not scream. It lingers. It spreads. It settles into people's minds until it becomes truth. I stood at the back of the room, dressed in black, my hands resting lightly in front of me. My posture straight, my expression calm. Grief is not always loud. Sometimes it is controlled, measured, contained. My name is Claire Lawson. I am 28 years old, and today I was standing in a room full of people who believed they understood my entire life. They were wrong, but they did not know that yet. Have you ever been judged before people even try to understand your story? If you have ever felt that, comment number 1 below. I read every single one. At the front of the room, a polished wooden table held a stack of documents. Legals. Final. Unavoidable. The will. That was why everyone was here. Not for grief. Not for closure. For answers. For money. For confirmation of what they already believed. Henry Lawson, my husband, was gone, and with him, every unspoken truth he had carried. Or so they thought. I looked around the room slowly, carefully, observing, analyzing. People reveal themselves in moments like this, not through what they say, but through what they expect. His daughter sat near the front, elegant, controlled, cold. Emily Lawson. She had never accepted me. Not from the beginning, not even for a second. To her, I was simple, predictable, a young woman who saw an older man with money and made a calculated decision, a transaction, nothing more. She knew exactly what she was doing. Emily had told people. She played the long game. Maybe, or maybe she had never asked the right question. Why would someone stay? Not what they gain, but what they endure. The lawyer stepped forward. "Thank you all for coming," he said, adjusting his glasses. His voice was professional, neutral, careful. He knew what was coming, and he knew it would not be simple. We will now begin the reading of Mr. Lawson's will. The room shifted, chairs adjusted, eyes sharpened, breathing slowed. This was the moment. I remained still, because I was not waiting for answers. I already knew the truth. I just needed everyone else to hear it. The lawyer began. Formal language. Structured sentences. Assets listed. Properties assigned. Investments divided. People nodded. This part was expected. Safe. Predictable. But tension does not come from what people expect. It comes from what they do not. Then the lawyer paused. Just slightly. But enough. I would now like to read a personal statement left by Mr. Lawson. That changed everything. The room went quiet. Not the whispering quiet from before. A different kind. Focused. Alert. Even Emily shifted slightly. That was the first crack. Because this was not part of the plan. The lawyer unfolded a separate document. His tone changed. Softer, more deliberate. "If you are hearing this," he began, "it means I am no longer there to explain things myself." Henry's voice was not physically present, but it filled the room anyway. That was the power of truth. It does not need a body, only a moment. I am aware that many of you believe Claire married me for money. A ripple moved through the room. Subtle, uncomfortable, good. Let me clarify something. The letter continued. Claire is the only person in this room who ever refused it. Silence. Immediate. Heavy. No one moved. No one spoke. Because that sentence did not fit the story. And when something does not fit, people hesitate. Emily frowned. Her control tightened, but uncertainty had already entered. When I met Claire, the letter continued, I was already sick. That changed the atmosphere instantly, because that was not public knowledge. Not fully. Not clearly. I told her the truth before I told anyone else. I closed my eyes for a brief second. Not from sadness. From memory. Hospitals. Late nights. The quiet fear he never showed to anyone else. She had every reason to leave, the letter said. She did not. A pause, long enough to settle. I offered her financial security. She refused. Murmurs. Soft. Confused. I offered her property. She refused. Emily's expression shifted again, slightly, but noticeably. I offered her everything, and she asked for one thing. The lawyer paused, then continued. Time. That word landed differently. It was not dramatic. It was not loud, but it was real. And reality always hits harder than performance. Claire did not marry me for what I had. The letter continued. She stayed for who I was when everything else was gone. The room had changed completely now. No more whispers. No more quiet judgment. Only silence. Because the narrative they had built was collapsing, and there was nothing ready to replace it. I opened my eyes again, slowly, calmly, watching, observing, because this was not about revenge. It was about truth, and truth does not need to rush. It unfolds. I know many of you will question her intentions. The letter continued. That is natural. But understand this. She was there when there was nothing to gain and everything to lose. Emily stood up slightly, then stopped, sat back down, control breaking in small, visible ways. That is something none of you can say, the letter added. The room did not react because there was no defense for that. Then came the final shift. So I made a decision, the letter said. One that ensures Claire will never need to explain herself again. The lawyer looked up briefly, then continued. I leave the majority of my estate to Claire Lawson. The room exploded. Whispers returned. Louder now. Sharper. Emotional. But it did not matter, because the truth had already been established. This was just reaction, not reality. Emily stood up. This is not acceptable, she said. Her voice controlled, but strained. This is manipulation. No. It was clarity, and clarity always feels unfair to people who rely on assumptions. I remained still, because I did not need to argue. I did not need to defend. I did not need to explain. For the first time, I did not need anything from them. I stood up slowly, adjusted my sleeve, turned toward the door. Not rushed, not dramatic, just finished, because that is what closure looks like. Not loud, not emotional. Just complete. At the door, I paused. Not for them, for myself. Because moments like this matter. They define something, not who you are, but what you no longer allow others to define. I turned slightly. Just enough. You were all so certain. I said quietly. A small pause. You never asked if you were right. No one responded. Because there was nothing left to say, I walked out of the room. And this time, the silence behind me felt different. Not judgment, not doubt. Something else, something closer to truth.